Chaplain Lindsey Williams has been an ordained Baptist minister for 28 years. He has spent several years living with, working with, and rubbing shoulders with some of the world's elite oil executives. He even attended their board meetings. He is the chaplain to the global elite. He wrote about his experiences in the energy non-crisis, which for a while he was actually forced to stop selling. He had to shut down his whole website because of how informative the information was about the globalists. In January of 2010, however, the oil executive who got him to shut down his operation, he was in poor health, and he said, "I don't care anymore. Tell them everything." Since then, Lindsey Williams has been out there doing just that. He is truly inside with the insiders. He joins us every month to bring us the latest information on globalist strategies and activities. Chaplain Lindsey Williams, welcome back to the Global Freedom Report.
Thank you, Brent, so very much for allowing me to be with you today. There is so much happening. Until I'm going to cover as much as I possibly can in the time that we have allotted.
We're going to do that. I want to ask you first, because we missed you last month, and you were scheduled to come on the show, and then called to tell us you were leaving the country with your family for a month. So my first question is, how was your family time? And my second question was there some insider reason you were invited to leave the country?
Brent, for over a year, the elitist friend of mine, who is over 70 years of age, he has been asking me and urging me to go to a briefing outside the United States of America. In fact, he everything but begged me. Well, I decided it was time to take the family. We picked up and went. Oh, my goodness, what I learned is so significant. Then when I got back last week, of course, I was in touch with your producer and said I'd be glad to be with you today. So we were gone about a month, but when I got back, all the briefing he gave me of what has happened. So let me get right into it. Now, first of all, you always have new listeners out there. So just for the sake of them hearing me say it personally, I was invited, and it had to have been by the providence of God. There's no other way it could happen. But I was invited by the elite of the world to be their chaplain for a 3-year period. That was many years ago. And since then, I have kept in touch with some of these people. And over these past 35 years, they have told me things. One of them just passed away recently, which you mentioned a moment ago, Mr. Ken Fromm, and senior executive with Atlantic Richfield. And before he died, he said, "Chaplain, I'm too old to care. Just go ahead and tell them everything." Well, the one individual that is retired now, also still alive, he basically is saying the same thing. "Chaplain, just tell them everything." Well, something so significant has happened amongst the elite. Now, folks, please, there positively is a group of people on the face of the earth who control the world. Let me say it as emphatically as I possibly know how. And two of those individuals have kept in personal contact with me over these numbers of years. Every time they've said something, I have come across America and radio shows and told people what they're going to do, and as a result have been able to save the dinner tables and the households of many people in this country. Now, this week, the President of the United States of America released 30 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve, and the average person has not the slightest idea how significant this is. Now, this Strategic Oil Reserve was for the purpose of being used only in time of emergency. Now, there is no emergency. There is no price at the gas pump that is rising. In fact, it's falling, the price at the gas pump. Why did the President do what he did? Well, I'm going to give you that and tell you exactly what you can watch. Put it down beside your calendar. You'll see it fulfilled. This is the first time you ever hear it is on this program, and you'll be able to watch it with your own eyes. Now, President Obama spoke on April the 20th in Avondale, Virginia, and in his speech he said, "We have plenty of oil." Now, if we have plenty of oil, and the Strategic Oil Reserve is only for the purpose of emergencies and price increases, or when our friends, so-called friends, cut off our oil supply, then why did he release 30 million barrels?
My guest is Chaplain Lindsey Williams with his Global Elite Report. And Chaplain, welcome back. And just so you know, while I have a bunch of questions here, I'm putting them all on the side. I think you're going to answer a lot of them as you tell us about these briefings. Can you tell us where they took place? You went someplace with the family. Can you give us an idea as to where it was and where the briefings took place? And then bring us up to date what's happening in the world.
Well, where it was is insignificant. Let me just merely say that it took place because over the years, the elite have given me signs from time to time as to what their progress is. I'm going to give you some signs right now in the few minutes we have left. Please write this one down. The elite are getting ready for the day the revolution in the Middle East cuts off oil supply. Now, I'm going to give you the signs of this in just a moment because they were given to me. You remember that about 6-7 months ago, maybe, I was on your show. I believe it was right here. It's in the archives. And I stated that within 4 to 5 months, there would be a conflict in the Middle East. The elite would not tell me where. Different ones said, is it going to be in Iran? I went back and asked my elitist friend. He said, no, it's not. Well, it took place in Egypt. After Egypt turned into civil unrest, I went back to my elitist friend and I said, what are you doing over there and what is this all about? He at that time gave me everything that I recorded on 3 DVD series entitled The Middle East and the Rest of the Story, and it startled the entire talk radio network all over this nation. And you have watched it unfold exactly as that elitist friend told me it was going to happen. And they are using the Muslim Brotherhood in the Middle East to disrupt every oil supply. First it was Egypt, then it was Libya, then it's Yemen. They did away with Mubarak. They're trying to assassinate Gaddafi and haven't quite been so successful. In Yemen it was Abdullah Saleh. And it's going to be right on from there to Jordan, Syria, and finally Saudi Arabia. But the elite are getting ready for the time. They already have an approximate timetable. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm just going to say that they have an approximate timetable as to when the revolution in the Middle East will get so severe that it will cut off much of the oil supply of America. Now, first item in this is, please go and research this for yourself. In my book, Energy Non-Crisis, which has been out of print now for about 2 years, if you want it, we finally have it on Amazon Kindle. Just type in and then Energy Non-Crisis. But in that book, there's a chapter entitled Gull Island Will Blow Your Mind. And many of you remember that I was actually there the day that the largest oil pool ever discovered on the face of the earth was brought in. And within 24 hours, the information was ordered classified. That was 35 years ago. The only place on the face of the earth that is recorded is in my book, Energy Non-Crisis, and I have waited 35 years for my dreams to come true when they would open up that oil field and finally be willing to say what was in my book, Energy Non-Crisis, that it's true. Well, it's happened. I'm going to give you the names and the places and tell you what's happening up there. Just within the past few weeks, at Prudhoe Bay, that's on the Arctic shore, northern Alaska, United States of America, as far north as you can go, right on the ocean beach itself. You look out from West Dock. Please put these items down so you can go and look them up for yourself and you'll find it. From West Dock, directly north of there, is a place called Gull Island, about 2 miles out into the ocean. They have hit the largest oil pool ever discovered on the face of the earth, hidden. They have not released any oil from it, because they wanted to wait till the price of crude oil got to where they wanted it. They were not going to release it until they could charge you $150 to $200 a barrel. They've got to create a crisis first in the Middle East in order to get the price up there. Now, and when the oil in the Middle East has cut off, then they will be able to bring to you the oil that they have supplied from America's own oil fields.
Now let me interject for a moment, please, Chaplain. Now you've told us here before that by the end of 2012, they want to crash the U.S. dollar and have the oil up to $200 a gallon. So I'm assuming that the time frame is no later than the end of 2012. But you're indicating that they're going to crash the Middle East oil supply, and you say you're not going to tell us when that's going to happen. Is there a particular reason you would tell us so much but not tell us when that's going to happen?
because even they don't know how long it's going to take to do this. It's taken them longer than they thought for to get Gaddafi out. Other nations aren't progressing quite as fast as they wanted it to. They wanted a sweeping engagement with the Muslim Brotherhood in that area. It may take them, who knows how long it's going to take them to do that. But whenever they've accomplished what they want, they will have cut the oil supply off from over there. At the same time, the American dollar will see a crash. And here's what's happening. Look at this. The biggest oil rig ever built on the face of the earth just within the past few weeks has been moved onshore 2 miles away from Gull Island on the mainland in northern Alaska, and they call it the Liberty rig. I'm giving you all this information. You're going to see it hit the headlines in the mainstream media maybe 6 months to a year from now. They call it the Liberty rig. They're going to drill into, they have finally named it. I call it the Gull Island field. They call it the Lisbon zone, not Lisbon field, but Lisbon zone. That rig is going to drill, are you ready? 8 miles down. You realize how deep 8 miles is? You think the Gulf of Mexico was a gusher. You haven't seen anything. You wait until they drill down and get abiotic oil out of what I call the Gull Island field, 8 miles down, and it'll be about the same time that the crisis involves in the Middle East to the point that they will need our own oil for America. But how does the strategic oil reserve, which the president pulled out 30 million barrels this week, how does that fit into this? When I saw this, I almost went into shock. It's hysterical what this man is doing, because he is being forced to do what he's doing by the elite. They pull that oil out now when crude oil is less than $100 a barrel. They must replace it. When are they going to replace it? They will put it back into the salt domes. It's the emergency oil for our military and for you when you're standing in line waiting for gasoline. They will have to replace it at $150 to $200 a barrel. It is a ploy of the elite for control, and it's deadly. It's horrible what is happening in Washington right now. The signs, number one, strategic oil reserve this past week. They know that they're getting ready for something in the future. Secondly, the Gull Island field. Now they're ready to produce. Thirdly, please hear what's happening in the Bakken Oil Reserve in North and South Dakota and Montana. They're punching dozens of holes into that reserve every day. And then the House of Representatives just passed a bill. Oh, please, this is so important. On May the 12th, 2011, the House of Representatives passed a bill very quietly. No big hullabaloo in the main media about it. The bill passed 243 to 179 to give the right to drill in areas where they have never even considered the possibility of drilling before. Nobody raised a protest. Why? The elite held it back intentionally until now. They know the approximate date they're going to need it, and where did this bill give them the right to drill? You guessed it. Gull Island, Arctic Ocean, Alaska's Bristol Bay, Arctic Wildlife Refuge. They have never, ever been willing before to even consider this, and all of a sudden they've decided, oh, isn't this wonderful?
Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that very interesting? Let me ask this. Now, there was just a report out of Iran, and with all this talk and everything you're telling us and everything that's going on, Iran is pretty much has been out of the news. It hasn't been the focus of this. Now we get a statement from the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who is like God when it comes to Iran, and who never makes any statements. And he's talking about U.S. terrorism and all that stuff. But I'm curious if you can shed any light on why this man, who you never hear anything about, we all hear about President Ahmadinejad, he's the face and the voice of Iran, but now God in Iran comes out and starts to make a public face. How does Iran fit in to all of this other activity going on?
They did not want a conflict with Iran. As you remember, our military was all over there just ready about a year and a half to 2 years ago. Then about a year ago, the same thing happened again. It was military readiness. I went to my elite friends and I came on your show, Brent, if you can remember back that far. It's in your archives. And I came on your show and I said, I just talked with my elitist friend. That was Mr. Crom before he passed away. And I asked him the question. I said, is there going to be a conflict with Iran? He said, no, Chaplain, we do not want a conflict with Iran right now. And then it came down to the Middle East, and they told me there's going to be a conflict in the Middle East in 4 to 5 months. I said, where is it going to be? He said, it's not Iran. You've watched it unfold right in front of your eyes. I told it 4 to 5 months before it happened. It happened exactly as the elite had told me.
Absolutely, and I do remember you being on the show and talking about that. I'm just curious if you think the appearance of the Ayatollah has any kind of significance in the scheme of these things.
I don't have a slightest idea. All they will tell me is that Iran does not fit into the picture right now. So I don't think that we're going to see any major conflicts in relation to Iran, but you are going to see Jordan, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Oman, all of those one after the other are going to go down. The royal families will be deposed. The leaders of heads of state will be gone until they create such a crisis in the Middle East and give every one of those countries, they're going to give it to the Muslim Brotherhood. I couldn't believe the headlines on the newspapers when I got back here from being outside of the country. Here's one right here. Brotherhood party legal in Egypt for the first time. You probably saw this also, Brent. How could it possibly be that they were not even allowed to do it? Now they're going to take over in the election this fall. Mark my words. Here's another one.
Go
ahead.
What about Pakistan and Afghanistan? How do they play into all of this with all of the activity going on over there?
Well, they really don't except for Afghanistan. Afghanistan produces more of the opium for the world than any other one country. In fact, I think it's something like 80 or 90-something% of the world's opium comes out of Afghanistan, and we're over there protecting the bankers' interests is the only reason in the world we're there. This has been made very evident to me. Now, there are 2 words that I want to get over before we have to give out of time here. There's 2 words you're going to hear more and more about. Here they are. I'm hearing it from my elitist friends every time I talk to them now. Petrodollar. You've got to understand the mindset of the elite. I wrote 3 books attempting to help the American people understand how these elitists think. And whenever they say something, you've got to understand the depth of what they're saying. No longer is it the reserve currency of the world, which is the American dollar. From now on, you're only going to hear one subject, petrodollar. What does it mean? It may mean one thing to you, but I'll tell you what it means to the elite. Petrodollar means what Mr. Crom told me back about 2 years ago. He said, Chaplain, the standard currency of the world is crude oil. Money. Are you hearing this? The standard currency of the world is crude oil. Now, they're talking about a new subject, petrodollar, which is not the American greenback, but instead it's the currency that the World Bank intends to issue whenever the dollar is dead, which they have their timeline drawn for the end of 2012, not for it to be non-existent, but to be dead, and they're going to begin one nation after the other using another currency besides the dollar for the sale and trade of crude oil, and the new term is petrodollar. Watch it. You'll hear these buzzwords. You must understand their buzzwords. And when you hear them, it's a sign as to how far along they've gone, Brent.
Now you bring up petrodollar, which is, the economy of what they're doing, the economics of what they're doing. What's happening on the economic front? Everything you're talking about is happening in the Middle East and in the African and Arab world, but then we've got all kinds of activity in Greece, which is about to completely collapse. Spain, Portugal, Ireland, not far behind. Germany is restarting the Deutschmark. Maybe Italy might follow through. All of the economic instability in the European Union, is that almost like a feeder? Is that related to this move toward the petrodollar?
Yes, it is. It all fits together because the same thing must happen in Europe. And we've got, what is it now? I think there's 3 nations rioting now. You've got Greece, you've got some others. London had a strike on yesterday. I can't believe that London is having things happen like this. All of this will dovetail towards the end of the program whenever they want to bring in that total, complete, new world order. But they have to bring everything to chaos first, and then they, under their auspices, will bring it out. So what we're going to see in America, and by the way, please, this is a prediction based on what I'm hearing from my elitist friends. The national debt of the United States of America, it will be defaulted on. I am amazed what I'm hearing out of Washington from Ron Paul these days. I couldn't believe I was hearing him say it. I don't know where he's getting it from, but I'm getting it from my elitist friends. The American dollar, the American debt, not the dollar, but the debt, $14 trillion plus of indebtedness, T-bills, bonds that the elite of the world have bought. We are going to default on the national debt at some point when the dollar collapses. This Middle East problem will get worse and worse. They will produce the oil from our own soil, and you'll be begging for gasoline. They'll give it to you. You'll beg for a new currency. They'll be standing ready to give it to you. I beg everybody, please, I urge you, you need to see it with your own eyes. It's entitled, we just finished it here a few weeks ago, my 3 DVDs that you watch on your television set at home. The Middle East, the rest of the story. Just the 3-hour presentation is worth one 20-minute clip where we show you the progression that the Muslim Brotherhood intends to carry out between now and the end of 2012 and thereon. And then, where's the dollar going? Why is this happening in the Middle East? How is this going to affect America? The Middle East, the rest of the story. And then for those of you who haven't gotten them, please get my DVD set, 6 DVDs that describe everything that the elite have told me for the past 3 years. And through the year 2012, everything is going to happen. You'll fall right in line. Our toll-free number, American operators, by the way, will answer. Our toll-free number is 888-799-6111, or you can go on the web to prophecyclub.com, prophecyclub.com, or 24 hours a day.
I'll be sure to give out, we're going to give out all that information. We also keep a permanent link on our website with all that information as well. So we'll make sure we get that out. But I do want to ask you now, all right, let's move to this date sometime in the future where everybody knows this information. You have been successful in getting all this information out to us. What do we do with it? What are we to do with it?
Well, let me answer that question this way. I think is the best way to put it. And I'll use myself as an example. I, Lindsey Williams, I never lose sleep at night. I never worry about the things that are happening in the world. Nothing ever surprises me anymore because the elite have told me everything they're planning on doing between now and the end of 2012. If you are willing to believe what these people have told me and the things that you're hearing and what the buzzwords are that are coming from some of our leaders, you can get prepared. You can save your dinner table. And in my latest presentation, I give you 13 things that you must do immediately. You don't have to stay awake at night and worry about this because you can make preparation. You can outsmart the elite if you know their mindset and you're willing to listen to what they're saying.
Now, final question. This is always going to be the final question whenever we visit. What should we look for over the next, say, 30 days or until we get to visit with you again?
I'm so glad you asked. Because that's one of the things that my elitist friend told me just this past week. He said, Chaplain, so many Americans are waking up. He said, I guarantee you the price of food, the price of gasoline at the gas pump is going to stay less than $5 per gallon through the summer. And I said, why? The indication to me is so many, congratulations, you have succeeded. You and others like you have wakened up so many Americans, and you've heard me say many times, that the one thing that the elite cannot stand, there's only one thing on the face of the earth they're afraid of, and that is the masses of people waking up because there are only a few of them and a whole lot of us. And so many of you waking up, they decided frog in the pot, boiling, They've got to back off a little bit for the summer. You enjoy that $5 or less per gallon gasoline, even in California and Hawaii. But watch out. I'm giving you the prediction. Put it down right now beside your calendar. Crude oil prices and gasoline prices are going to skyrocket beginning in September and October and November. And I'm going to tell you where gold is going. I was just given it the other day. The price of gold. Don't you dare go and sell your gold and silver right now. I know some of you are worried because you think that the price is falling so much that you don't dare keep it. Quite to the contrary.
Come on, give it to us. Give it to us.
Okay, it's going to go between now and the last of August, it's going to stay the same or maybe go down a little bit. Beginning the last of August through December, you're going to see a 20 to 25% increase in the price of gold and silver.
Wow, wow, wow. Lindsey Williams, it's never enough time, but thank you so much for spending this time with us. www.prophecyclub.com. Prophecy, that's Prophecy, prophecyclub.com. You can also call toll-free 888-799-6111 and get the Middle East, the rest of the story. For more on Lindsey Williams, go to lindsey101.blogspot.com. We'll be back with hour number 2. Lindsey Williams, God bless you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Brett.